Hey guys, welcome to Star Wars Timeline. My name is Ben. Today I'd like to talk about Star Wars Eclipse. Lucasfilm Games dropped a major nukes on us yesterday with the reveal trailer during the Game Awards show, and I didn't get the chance to react to it because I was hanging with the boys, Star Wars on High and Star Wars Complete. We were live streaming and we actually broke down the trailer together. I'll drop the link to their channels in the video description below so you can actually go and check out our conversation. But in today's video, I wanted to kind of bring forth my impression of this trailer and actually discuss what can we potentially expect from this game and talk about its developer and their prior history of games for those of you guys who may not be familiar. Now, I know fans got super excited yesterday watching this trailer when we saw the Lucasfilm Games logo, right? That studio has been reinstated since the Disney's ownership. They brought back the studio, and now we know that there are other major game designers aside from EA who are contributing to the Star Wars franchise. Now, when I saw the trailer yesterday, it completely blew my mind. But as an experienced gamer, you guys could probably see my collection behind me. You know what to expect when you look at the CGI trailer. That is not actual gameplay footage. And what the trailer is supposed to communicate is more of kind of sense of feeling and general direction, what the story is going to be about, maybe a glimpse or a hint of what potential gameplay may be like. But once again, this was a fully CGI trailer, and there wasn't a single line of dialogue. It's all based on just on location and setting. We don't even know what this story is going to be about. We do know that it's set in the period of the High Republic. And me, as a huge fan of those books, I couldn't be more excited. That was the main hook for me to look forward to this game and actually to this reveal trailer, is that it's set in an era that I really, really appreciate. I personally feel that it's going to be a lot closer to the prequel era and not quite what we see in the books, because the books primarily take place 232 years before the prequels. So, and that area is kind of like grayed out. It's not fully identified. Where exactly does the High Republic era end? So this could be a game that takes place maybe 80 years before the prequels. And the reason I say that, because there is a lot of technology that you see in the trailer that sort of look like clone era, right? The droid control ship from the Trade Federation, and even a couple of starships. When you look at them, you're like, you sort of associate immediately with the prequel era look of the films. They're like, okay, let's see where exactly it takes place. I really enjoyed how the trailer perfectly combines the feeling of something old and new. When that money shot on Yoda in the Jedi Temple on Coruscant is there, I felt, wow, what an awesome way to bring something familiar that fans admire, that's, a generation of fans grew up with Star Wars prequels, and combined it with planets and visuals and alien species, right? The ones that the drumming in the beginning of the trailer. It's kind of like a familiarity between what we know and introducing something new, but fusing it so effectively together into a very striking visual sequence that I felt whoever directed this trailer is on point, guys. They really were able to elicit emotion, plus obviously the amazing music. And I think what the trailer wanted to accomplish with this first reveal is to establish a sense of odyssey, a sort of adventure, and show us, exotic locations and planets, and reveal also a new sort of threat. My favorite scene in this entire trailer, and honestly, guys, since the Disney acquisition, there's things that I enjoyed, things that that I didn't enjoy as much. But when I saw this trailer, and you see that new faction, these faceless kind of like soldiers, like mindless drones marching into the foreground, and then you see all the technology behind them, these huge giant tanks, which almost reminded me of tyrants from the Warhammer franchise, and this huge mothership bloating out the sky above it. Such a fantastic image. I was like, whoa, I'm really, really excited about this game, regardless of what the gameplay may be. And of course, everything in this trailer was amplified and hyped up by phenomenal music. Basically, this trailer is playing on repeat throughout the day for me today. I'm so excited about it. But anyway, let's move on now. And what I wanted to bring to your attention is the developer behind this game, their library of games, what they have developed before, and what can we look forward to potentially from this new game, right? Obviously, we're all speculating, but I want it to be based on some kind of prior history and knowledge of what we had. Me being a huge Quantic Dream fan, so let's jump right into it. So Quantic Dream is a French studio which was founded by David Cage in 1997, and they were focused on interactive stories. He always mentioned that he was like a student of film, and he wanted to generate scenes and sequences that you play through that feel like as impactful as watching a movie, which was very, very ambitious for 1997, because clearly the technology was not there. We're like in PlayStation 1 and then later on Nintendo 64 era. The graphics were not nearly the same to convey human emotion. And the studio is known throughout the years primarily for Heavy Rain, which was released in 2010, and then Beyond Two Souls in 2013. And of course, their, I would say, most successful and most prominent game to date is Detroit Become Human, which came out in 2018. And I think it basically put the studio on the map to the mass audience of casual gamers who may not have been familiar with the studio before. Like, oh man, what is this Detroit thing? It's so story-driven and emotional. What is it about? And it started kind of showing people what the studio is all about. They also made a PlayStation 2 game called the Indigo Prophecy, but the one that I really want to bring to your attention is Omikron Nomad Soul, which came out on Sega Dreamcast in 1999. So primarily Quantic Dream Studio is described as interactive story kind of developer. Well, that's not entirely true. This relates to their latest games like Detroit Become Human, but Omikron Nomad Soul was a little bit different. Let me just give you a brief description. And as we talk about this game, I'll throw a video on screen so you guys could actually check out what the gameplay style looked like. It was a third-person adventure game, a sci-fi thriller, which was set in this pseudo-open world futuristic city called Omikron. And the reason I call it pseudo, well, it's not a fair term to say, because once again, the developers were very limited by the technology of the day. Obviously, you couldn't have a full-blown Grand Theft Auto experience, because I believe this game, Omikron, actually came out at about the time or even before Grand Theft Auto 3 on PlayStation 2, which basically changed gaming forever and gave us the true sandbox experience for the very first time. But when you played Omikron, you start off with this nameless character who actually invites the player into its world to the screen. It was very clever beginning to the game, where the main protagonist says, hey, I need your help. Come over here. And he's talking to actual player. You're holding the controller in your hands, and like as if he's speaking to you, and you're transported into that world. And the idea was that you take over different characters throughout the adventure, and you explore this futuristic and mysterious city of Omikron, solving crimes and solving the mystery behind it. And it had also first-person shooter mechanics and third-person adventuring and exploration. And it sort of felt like a big, huge city that you're exploring. You actually went to different sections of it. You could actually catch a cab and go to a different part of the city. And when you're strolling through the streets, you're thinking to yourself, gee, here's a huge building, can I walk into? And you actually could. You would walk into buildings, you could go to the apartments, even though your mission was not supposed to be there. It gave you a sense of something grand and big. If I remember correctly, I mean, it's been such a long time ago, but there were even some sort of rudimentary RPG mechanics to it as well. So, and the reason I'm mentioning Omikron Nomad Soul is to tell you that Quantic Dream is not only known for interactive cinema kind of adventure stories, they also dealt with, in their first game, with open world kind of experience. So what does that mean to the Star Wars Eclipse? Well, hold on a second. Yesterday, Quantic Dream also released a full-blown dedicated website for the game. They're telling us it's early in development, but they already gave us some brief descriptions, and there's only 3 bullet points, but I would like to read them along for you guys so you could get the gist from the first-hand source, what the actual studio is telling you the game is going to be about. And then I'll kind of speculate and throw everything in a box, and we'll try to figure out what can we potentially realistically expect from this game. So here we go. The bullet points on the website say, it's a new adventure, multiple character branching narrative game set in the High Republic era. Presented to you by Quantic Dream and Lucasfilm Games, now early in development. Note, Quantic Dreams and Lucasfilm Games. So I feel there's some sort of collaboration going together, and it's no longer just a Quantic Dream staple signature gameplay style. They're working in collaboration with Lucasfilm, which, as the owner of the IP, may say, well, look, guys, we really like your talent. We like your library of games. Come over here. We would like you to build the Star Wars game now, plus something at a little bit extra gameplay style, which casual gamers may enjoy. Again, it's a guess, but the wording is very interesting here. The next bullet point says, it lets you play as a diverse cast of charismatic characters, each with their own story, abilities, and roleplay in the tapestry of events that could alter the carefully balanced piece of the Outer Rim. So it's not just different characters, it's abilities and different roleplay and in the tapestry of events. So they're using terminology which says immediately that you will have more control over those characters than in their previous games. Because in Detroit Become Human, none of the characters have special abilities or kind of like RPG skill line trees. It's basically on autopilot. You gain control of the character, the same gameplay mechanic as with each and every other character, and you're basically moving them through these cinematic sequences. Here, the wording is a little bit different. Maybe I'm reaching here, but it's just quite exciting to see where they're heading with this. And the last bullet point says, every decision you make can have dramatic repercussions on your journey. The way of life in the Outer Rim is being threatened, and you must define your path. This is very much in line with Detroit game, where basically in each scene you had multiple choices, multiple routes that you could take, and it would alter not only the outcome of the final game, it actually altered the pathways you took in the game. You could completely avoid certain segments on locations or characters that you interact with based on your choices in each chapter, which is quite phenomenal. I don't think anyone does it as well as Quantic Dream. So, now what can we expect from Star Wars Eclipse? First and foremost, knowing the Quantic Dream signature game developing style, we can definitely count an emotional, narration-driven story with branching pathways, right? This is what Detroit was, this is what Heavy Rain was, Beyond Two Souls is the game that I have not checked from them, but Indigo Prophecy, the one before that. All of their games are almost like cinematic experiences, and they give you the sort of feelings and you care for the characters so much that I believe almost no other game was able to do, because the founder of the studio, he always focused on the cinematic experience, and he said, I want video games as a medium, as an art form, to have the player feel emotion towards the characters. And that's been throughout of their library of games. I don't think they have made a single game that felt mediocre or, you know, it deviates from their signature style that they're known for. We can also expect mature themes. Once again, knowing the past library of games, and controllable heroes could also mean controllable villains in the scope of a Star Wars game. You know, because Quantic Dream is always focused on telling a story from multiple perspectives. And in Star Wars, obviously, you always have the good guys, the Jedi, you know, the Republic, the ones, the preservers of peace. And then you have the villains. You have parties who are like operating in the dark or have ulterior motives, or the grand villains like the Sith. I mean, it's an opportunity that they cannot miss, honestly. If you know anything about Quantic Dream, you can count on controlling characters in this game that will be probably not the good guys or not who you expect them to be. Points to a Heavy Rain. That game is just simply phenomenal with a plot twist. They're so impactful. If you guys haven't played this game before, I strongly advise you to go play it, and you will understand exactly what I mean. And then you can kind of translate that experience and say, oh my God, here's Heavy Rain. What could they potentially do with Star Wars? Most realistically speaking, and please guys, don't get mad. I know a lot of you probably get your hopes high looking at this, you know, epic trailer, and you want a certain sort of experience which you like. But we have to understand why it's Quantic Dream and not other studio developing this game, because they create a certain type of games, right? And basically their games are on the rails, very, very guided experiences with interactive conversations and quick time events. That's basically the gist of their games. It's not about open world, you know, or robust RPG mechanics or like techniques you could execute action sequences like in, I don't know, Devil May Cry or something. That's not Quantic Dream. That's not what they focus on. They focus on story, on narrative, on characters, on powerful emotions, and they get you hyped and excited as the gamer with the introduction of their QuickTime events. Basically, you have a character walking into a situation. It starts off calm and nice, and then things go crazy, right? And a sort of action starts happening. Either it's a shootout or a fist fight, and you're introduced with the QuickTime events where you're supposed to press buttons quickly in order to solve the situation. That's what they're known for. But at the same time, one of the bullet points that I read to you guys, and speculating that this is now in collaboration with Lucasfilm games, I think there's a potential for more action-based gameplay and possibly something like an open hub game. Not necessarily open world like Grand Theft Auto or Assassin's Creed, but something maybe like Tomb Raider games, right? The recent Tomb Raider remakes, which I felt were absolutely wonderful. And not every game, honestly, needs open world. When you play something like God of War, the most recent title in this series, or the Tomb Raider games, they give you plenty of areas to explore, and you go this route and that route, and you see an overworld map, and then there's a bigger hub in the center where there's a lot of activities you can participate in, and there's still, you feel that you're going off the beaten path, and there's a cave over here, or there's a ruins over there that you could explore. Maybe they could go there. And nobody stops Quantic Dream from refining, improving their formula, or even spicing it up and changing it with something different. Who knows? It's a possibility. Once again, Lucasfilm is also involved in this game. Potentially, we might have full character control, not QuickTime events, because the bullet point on the website does say it's an action game. It's an action-adventure title. But I would expect that to take place maybe primarily during like main action sequences, or maybe piloting a ship. Again, it's a Star Wars universe. If you're doing on the rails guided experience, why can't have flying? It wouldn't be that difficult to execute if you're just flying through like a small kind of sequences, sort of like Mass Effect titles have a couple of areas where you actually control the flying cars. That could be a possibility as well. Again, I'm sort of toning down my expectations, and I'm thinking realistically. Once again, I can't expect this game to be like, Ubisoft, Assassin's Creed, 250 hours kind of experience. Probably not. But maybe we'll get some action sequences that we haven't got before, and it will not be QuickTime events. It will be like full-blown lightsaber action sequences, which I imagine Star Wars fans want to play. You don't want to just press buttons like, oh, lightsaber attack and defense. Oh, now I get to use my force power. The appeal is to get full control of your Jedi and deliver some crazy action sequences. That's what you want. Another thing that I want to mention is yesterday was the Game Awards show, and they revealed Unreal Engine 5 Matrix Awakens experience, which looks absolutely mind-blowing. And for those of you guys who are current owners of current generation, like the new Xbox, I have a PlayStation 5 over there sitting on the shelf. Honestly, it's not about the hardware anymore. It's a little bit more powerful, PlayStation 4, not as powerful, obviously, as the modern computer, the RTX 3000 series, graphic cards. But the true game changer in graphics for future games will be Unreal Engine 5, because if you check out their demos on YouTube, what they're promising is they completely reinvent how the graphic cards will interpret massive loads of visuals on screen effortlessly, right? So you don't need that much more powerful hardware to be able to run Unreal Engine 5 to some admirable effect and make it a clear distinction that this is no longer, Xbox X and a PlayStation 4 generation. This is the future. This is PlayStation 5 kind of graphics. So taking into account that Matrix reveal, I feel that the game, regardless whether we saw the CGI trailer or not, is going to have some phenomenal graphics, because honestly, that's the future. This is where a Lucasfilm studio is supposed to put their money in and, possibly support Quantic Dream and say, look, guys, we're going to throw all this money at you, give you the budget. This is a Star Wars title that cannot fail. We have a lot of riding on the High Republic books. A lot of fans are enjoying the comic books. The game has to be on par. So Unreal Engine 5, run with it. Make the game as best as you can. And another instance of that is we're slowly seeing more modernized games trailers coming out, and they're showing us gameplay. And yesterday we also saw in-game footage of Senua's Saga Hellblade 2 in-game graphics. Once again, it's a much smaller studio than Quantic Dream, and perhaps with a much smaller budget, because the first game had even the almost indie game developing budget, was so tiny but looked great. But this part too looks ridiculous, guys. I mean, go check out, Google it right now, Senua's Saga, Hellblade 2, and check out the in-game graphics on that game. If that studio can pull off graphics like this, it's not a far stretch to assume that Quantic Dream, supported by Lucasfilm, will be able to throw amazing graphics at us. And I think that's also a major selling point for those of us who are looking for a cinematic experience, you know, and see the level of detail on humans and alien species and spaceships that we've never seen before. And the last point that I want to make as what we can expect is, look, guys, once again, to summarize the whole video, this was a CGI trailer to kind of give us a sales pitch of what to expect from this game in terms of feeling and emotion and a sense of adventure. It's not representative of the final gameplay, and a lot of things get changed in the process. I know a lot of fans feel impatient or feel offended, you know, when they see a certain game build type early in development, and then 2 years later the game comes out and it's nothing like what we've seen in the footage. And a lot of fans start, you know, criticizing and saying, well, hold on a second, I'm disappointed. It's not the game that you were trying to sell us. That's why don't get your expectations out of proportions. I would say my final advice is be patient. Let's persevere. Let's get excited and start talking about this game. And as the information comes out, as they finally start, you know, revealing some screenshots and gameplay footage, then we could start talking and really speculating like, okay, this game is going to be for me because I like story-driven, character-driven characters, and that's kind of gameplay. I like something simple. I don't like complicated games. You have a fair share of gamers like that, or somebody who is more into like, no, I want to create my own character, open-world game with RPG mechanics, with armor, different armor sets and weaponry. Then you will begin to understand that this game may not be necessarily for you, but you might still be curious to check it out. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. This was my basic speculation. I hope this game, regardless of what gameplay style it may be, that it will represent the High Republic in full light, and that will introduce a new generation of fans. Because unfortunately, we have a lot of criticism geared towards, the High Republic, and it's all unfounded. It's people listening to angry YouTubers and saying like, oh my God, High Republic is bad. It's woke trash. It has talking rocks, and it's like, that's all nonsense. If you actually go and read those books, I've been reading Star Wars books for 20 plus years. You guys, those of you who watch my channel, you know that I review Star Wars books. I know what I'm talking about. High Republic and Disney's not paying me yet. Del Rey has not sent me any advance copies to review. I buy all my stuff by myself, so I'm open to talk at liberty about any opinion I might have about High Republic. Honestly, most of it has been like kick-ass. The comic book area is not what I'm completely thrilled. There's like a couple of High Republic mini-series that I enjoyed. The mainline series, like, it's okay. It's not the best in the world. But the books are solid. They're on point, man. They give you everything. They give you rousing action. They give you characters that you care about. I mean, it's been out only for 1 year that we got the High Republic. And it already introduced a full cast of characters. You're like, oh my God, I want to learn more about this Jedi. I want to know about this, senator. I want to know this. I want to know that. It's so much cool stuff. I can't wait how all of that will translate into a video game. If you guys enjoyed this video, please remember to subscribe, hit that bell button. I really appreciate your comments. I really appreciate all of the support you've been giving me throughout the year that I started my YouTube channel. And I'll see you guys next time. And I would love to hear your opinions on this trailer. Please drop some comments below. I want to know what you guys thought about this trailer. I'll see you next time.